And to Newswatch, the ABC is manic about pushing this us versus them race politics. Latest effort, the documentary I mentioned last week, the school that tried to end racism, showing race baiters going into a school to preach what they call anti-racism, but which seems to foster instead an anti-white racism. Well, tonight is the final episode, and here is a troubling part of it. A comic, Nazim Hussain, whose shtick is usually to complain that we're all racist, and not that it's all that funny, but anyway, here he is smearing a much funnier comic, Mark Mitchell, who played Con the Fruiterer some 30 years ago. Here's an excerpt.
This show is from the late 80s, early 90s. It's from a show called The Comedy Company, and the character is called Con the Fruiterer. But he's not Greek, he's a white guy. Here it is.
Hey! Hello, how are you today, gentlemen? What can I do for you? Would you like some avocado? It's beautiful. It's a little bit hard, but don't worry, couple of ice. How's it going for you? Things is okay for me? You know, this is a great country. Have a look at it. It's a beautiful banana, this one. Beautiful. It's very nice. This one, no seeds, no pit.
What did you enjoy about it?
It was funny and I don't laugh a lot and he made me laugh.
No, that was absolutely disgusting. The whole intention was to make fun of Greek people's accent and the way they talk and what they do when someone comes to their shop. It's not funny to, like, if you're not from a Greek background and you don't have an accent like that, it's not funny to portray it like that. At the same time, it's sort of funny, but it's also stereotypical. It's saying that Greek people like to eat your bananas and then put it back in the bag, and they want to rip you off and get more money, and they like fruit. It's like saying that they are something that they're not.
Does it make it better or worse that this is perhaps the only representation of Greeks on television?
There are so many things wrong with that, including embarrassing on national television. The young boy who thought the show was funny is now shamed for laughing, made to look like he's a racist too. Disgusting. But let's go through Hussein's claims there that Con the Fruiterer was a Greek, but played by a white guy. I mean, what does he think Greeks are? You know, black or Asian? I mean, Con the Fruiterer, Hussain says, was about the only representation of Greeks on TV back then, making him apparently even more racist. A little fact check. Also running on TV back then were these Greek boys, real Greek boys, having just as much fun with the supposedly stereotypical Greek as Con the Fruiterer.
What happens when two young Greeks and a Spaniard take over an old Greek coffee shop? Fast cars, girls, and having a good time is all they know about. And watch out, here come the yuppies, and with them the hottest new sitcom to hit Australia this year.
Now, that show also made a star of Mary Koustas, another Greek girl. She had her own spin-off show later, playing Effie, another Greek stereotype.
Saif and me need a job so we can keep up with expenses, eh, Saif?
Yeah, hair gel.
Yeah, and heaps of makeups.
Now, as for Con the Fruiterer being racist, I have to say he did make the chairman of the ABC herself, Ida Buttrose, laugh with his routine. Or is the ABC now suggesting that she's a racist as well? And Labor Prime Minister Bob Hawke even gave Con the Fruiterer Australian citizenship. And that's because Con, actually played by Mark Mitchell, had by his act in fact welcomed Greeks into the great Australian family where we all take the piss out of each other, or once did. In fact, a poll in Neos Cosmos, a Greek newspaper, found, no doubt to Neos Cosmos editor's surprise, that a lot of Greek readers did like Con. More, I'd say, than like Nazim Hussain. Joining me on Newswatch is Sophie Elsworth, media writer for the Australian newspaper. Sophie, what did you make of this attack on Con the Fruiterer?
Oh, look, I just think this comedy show was so funny back in the late 80s. Many of us enjoyed it, Andrew, but now we're putting this in front of little kids and asking them about racism. I mean, where does this stuff end? Are we going to cancel all these shows? Are we going to single out those little kids, those boys in that show that are painted as racist because they actually found this comedy funny? And why didn't the ABC include that clip that you had of their chair, Ita Buttrose, laughing? I mean, that's pretty important. If Ita's laughing at it, she found it funny, as did many of us at the time, and many of us still would laugh at the comedy company. It was a great show. But this is just the ABC taking it too far. I reached out to Mark Mitchell today about it. He didn't want to talk about it, but he did make a point. Are they going to pick on his portrayal of Marika as well in the show? I mean, this stuff just never ends with the ABC, and I think it's fraught with danger interviewing little kids. And where's that vision going to end up with those little boys that are painted as racist?
Yeah. Look, I just think that's really shoddy stuff. But it's when you're chasing racists, you've got to hurt a lot of people to get to the quarry because, you know, needs must. It gives them such excitement to have this blood sport. But, you know, you say what other shows they're going to take this off air. They've already taken Chris Lilly off air, right? Okay. A few of his shows have also been taken, like where he's playing a Tongan guy and that kind of thing. I don't know, Sophie. They say this show's about fighting racism. Do you think it's going to do that?
Andrew, I think it creates it. I think it splits the room. I mean, the first episode I watched last week talked about, you know, telling these little kids, take 3 steps forward on the soccer field if you've got the same skin colour as the Prime Minister. I mean, who thinks like that? I'm pretty sure a lot of kids don't think like that. They want to be buddies. Many of them haven't been able to be buddies throughout the pandemic. Let kids be kids and stop putting this nonsense on them and splitting them up and dividing them. I think it's not good, Andrew. I think there's more harm out of this than good.
Well, I think it's training kids to see skin colour first. I just think it's ridiculous. Many don't.